Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our medieval Total War campaign as the Aragonese and glorious achievements in the late era. And we're only about 52 turns away from the end game here. To bring you up to speed again, we are 5 points behind the Russians currently, and that's it. We're in second place, fairly far ahead of everyone after us. So what we need to do is find a way to make up this difference, and we only have 2 more years in which points will be counted, one in 1425 and the last one in 1453. So in order to make up the difference, we're going to have to first get a few points by conquest. We've got all the homelands points that we could possibly get, and in fact, Aragon is pretty generous with the homelands. You know, I've never really been successful playing as them. And so I'm surprised to see how many points you get for just 4 provinces. But it's not enough to make up for all of the conquest points that the Russians get in the high and the late era. The game is very generous to them. So what we need to do is potentially both increase our conquest and remove some of these points from the Russians in order to win. So for the first part of that, we're looking at the Eastern Mediterranean. We've mostly stayed out of this theater, apart from getting ships around to do trading. And we're going to continue that a little bit more here because we've got a few sea regions that we could get our fleets into. One of the potential targets in the area is the French. They've got a presence here on Cyprus, which looks fairly weak, honestly. It's a lot of troops, but it's not led by anyone who is particularly good. I think their best guy is this 1-star commander. He would be in charge. Captured, very lazy, most honest. Captured is actually, in some ways, a good trait. +3 morale, -1 command. So, you know, that helps everybody in the morale front. But this is a pretty easy army to deal with. The other potential here is this. We've got some rebellions happening on Crete. Now, I don't really want to hurt the Turks too much because the Turks are fronting the Russians. And as long as the Turks do well, at least they prevent the Russians from expanding down here. And maybe the Turks will go to war with the Russians and take some of their land from them. Then we wouldn't have to do as much work. But if this is going to present itself, we can just bribe the victor here if they end up taking Crete, if the rebels do. And I don't want to get into a conflict with Turkey because they are currently our allies. So are the French, come to think of it. Who's not our ally, though, in the region is the Byzantines. The Byzantines are at war with the Turks, but probably it's a very basic minor naval war because I imagine they are on roads here, and that's probably it. So if we can land a bunch of troops on roads, you know, taking out this ship, this Byzantine ship first, then we could get another province, and it's going to increase our conquest score that much more. We need to conquer, honestly, if we're going to make this difference, we need to conquer 10 provinces. So we're going to need to really look around. We could do some bribery. We can certainly bribe some rebel provinces in the north, but I would love to see something happen and open up over here. So anyway, let's see our fleet situation because we're going to need some more ships, and so I wouldn't mind spending a bit of time you know, training a few here and there. What are we going to do here? Aragon, let's see, gun galleys. You know what? I'm not sure if we can make gun galleys, but let's get going down that route. This is going to get us cogs. Let's go ahead and build that too. We're doing okay for money. My preference for this campaign, as I've said before, is to limit my expansion to kind of historically plausible, you know, things. So for Aragon, that actually gives us a fair amount of scope. Yes, so we have been trying to work against the Russians by assassinating their loyal generals. So we've done that over here in Lithuania. That's nice. Alright, lost a caravel there. Alright, Byzantines degenerated. Alright. Let's check that out. Okay. Yeah, we've got a couple bribery opportunities here. Okay, this one is a bit tricky. Wow. All right, where were the Byzantines? This can't be where they were. Let's go ahead and bribe Rhodes while we can. That's going to be pretty cheap. And we don't want to bribe this army yet on Crete because they're still besieging the Turkish garrison. So I suspect, in fact, the Turks might land something here in the next 5 years or so, because this has a while before it will fall. In that time, the Turks can get a ship in the Sea of Crete and probably organize themselves to drop something in here and relieve the siege. This is not a very big force, but assuming otherwise, it wouldn't hurt us to get an emissary on Crete. Let's see, do we have another one? I guess not. So let's train someone here. And the goal there is to get an emissary here before the port perhaps gets destroyed. If the castle falls, then, you know, sometimes buildings, including ports, can get wrecked. We could, of course, land an invading force there, too, so that's another option. And, in fact, we're getting a port in Tunisia, so we should be able to do it. Depending on where this port is, I think it's in the Gulf of Gabes here. I think we should be able to land it directly from Tunisia if we wanted to send an army over. Okay, we'll just keep going. Yep, so the Turks are sallying, and they're invading the rebels in Rhodes. I was afraid of that. Okay, actually, now I'm going to abandon the bribe, I think. Alright, Lithuania, they must have put up a border fort. Let's check that out. Well, we won't be able to... Okay, we can see inside here, because there's no Russian ships in the Baltic preventing us from getting closer. But yeah, there must just be a good spy or assassin here. I guess they were sick of me working against them. Alright, there's a border fort here in kind of like their capital. And theoretically, this is still a safe route to land agents in Kyiv and then send them up to Lithuania. But they must have some good assassin or spy in there right now. Okay, but this is pretty good. He's got 1 loyalty. He's got a couple points of dread. It'd be nice if he had royal blood. But, you know, that's some potential, right? This guy, I would love to get rid of, too. We can't do too much about him. I don't think we have great assassins. Yeah, we used our good guys. $50 years. Let's see. We could get a rank 2 assassin to start. Then another 20 years we could get. It's just, it doesn't seem worth it. To get, for a rank 3 assassin, it's going to take us like 36 years. That would give us about 20 years to work with. So, you know, late game, I'm a cheap player, as you can tell. Like, I don't like to spend money, except for, you know, very kind of specific circumstances, I guess. But I typically will spend very conservatively. All right, let's keep our cardinals here, because if nothing else, this is going to, you know, increase the Catholicism, maybe hurt the loyalty for the Turks if they do take it. you know, I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of rebellion here. There's border forts. There's no border forts here. And the rebels actually won this fight. Alright, let's get our emissary back. 4 years or more. Okay. We'll keep him there, and then we'll see what happens here. So the idea, anyway, the idea of like building up my fortresses and things, it's... I have to admit, I don't have a very good plan, right, for where I want to spend money. Because, you know, at a certain point it just feels like, well, you've got to conquer everywhere anyway. Okay, let's go to Cyprus with this ship. And we can make caravels here too. Let's grab another one. I mean, it is the paradox, if you will, of the total freedom that the early Total Wars gave you. That you could build everything everywhere for the most part. Okay, French are coming back. And I lost a general here, so now I've got 99 men. That's just silly. Let's just double check my king's influence. It's pretty good, so I think I can train stuff here. Yeah, let's get another one of you, just so that we've got 100 men in the province. And I've got a border fort here, too. I mean, money's just not a problem, so I don't feel compelled to spend a ton of it. So, let's just check heirs really quick. King Felipe I is 34, so he's got plenty of time, but he's not producing any sons of his own. So hopefully the next few years he will. Alfonso next in line. Let's say if he never produces sons, we've got this guy, but he's only 1 year younger. I bet he'll have some sons. I guess theoretically I could be on the lookout for princesses, but let's get this emissary over on Rhodes if we can. Yeah, see, very low taxes. Catholicism's creeping up. Unrest. So this could rebel. Get like a loyalist rebel rebellion. And Cyprus, yeah. I guess I can't do much about this without dropping alliance with the French, which I guess I could do if I were to try to ally with the Swiss. Because if I had to take a few more provinces up here, you know, that would be okay. I wouldn't mind taking Genoa, that's for sure. And I'd love to take something over here, maybe a lot of islands, because historically, the thing I was saying before is that the Aragonese, in a way, were kind of active over here, is my understanding. At least mercenaries from that area were involved, like the Catalan Company, right? So they were, I guess, a mercenary company from somewhere in Spain. And they ended up taking over areas in Greece, is my understanding. Maybe Thessalonica, maybe Athens. This is all after the fall of Constantinople in 1204, and then for like a century or so afterwards, or more, you had Latins essentially running around here with small principalities and duchies. Even after the Byzantines, so to speak, took back Constantinople itself in, I want to say, 1261-ish, you still had, you know, Western, quote-unquote, Latin duchies and things on the islands and down in the Peloponnese and in Athens and so on. And then, so it was kind of like a patchwork, right? It took a while for those to get taken over. Some of them, I think, may have even outlasted the fall of Constantinople to the Turks, if I'm not mistaken. It was close. but you never really had the Byzantines really retaking this stuff after 1204. So into this very confused jumble of sort of feudal obligations, you had these mercenary companies, which were huge and almost like roving armies without a state, or nomadic states in a sense, that would come around, maybe extort the local ruler, help them to win a battle or two against his enemies, and then maybe depose him, I guess. I'm not too secure on all the history here, but it's a very interesting time for sure. So I wouldn't mind, right, as the string puller over in Iberia, bribing some of these groups, or having men supposedly loyal to me set up little principalities in this area. It seems fairly fitting. Also, Crimea, I should honestly, this would be my preferred target of the Russians. You had a Genoese colony up here, in around this period, and so this is, I'd say, fair-ish game for me to sort of conquer plausibly as a Western power. Okay, anyway, that would bring down the Russians 2 points, and then that would just be nice. Okay, we're just waiting though. For me to switch sides over to an alliance with the Swiss, though, to drop my alliance with the French, I would need to get peace with the Almohads. I might be able to do that. Alright, we get spies there. Not much else I can do. True Cross. Catholic zeal in Italy. Okay. So let's try that. Catholicism's eking upward. Let's send the bishop over to try to get a ceasefire. Yeah, very low, and here very low as well. Alright, let's get a spy then. I guess we don't really have a place for good spies. That's alright. Just train a bunch. Drop you in here because there's no border fort. But yeah, we might get some more rebellions. And again, I'd prefer the mainland to be Turkish. I want them to be strong and not to get hurt too much. Okay, so we're trying for a ceasefire with the Almohads. They're allied with the Swiss. They're my only enemy. If we get peace with them, maybe we can ally with the Swiss. The Swiss might ally with me anyway. Let's see if we can do that. Do I have a guy here? I do. Let's just try it. See if they'll swap. Then I'll drop my French alliance, and that'll free me up to do a bunch of stuff. I've got 20 years. That's plenty of time to do some bribery and conquest before the next points are counted. We get 1,000 florins from the Pope. Alright, no ceasefire with the Almohads. No alliance with the Swiss. Alright. One option would be to destroy the Almohads, and then we could get maybe an alliance with the Swiss. But maybe not, because we're kind of a big power at this point. I don't know exactly how the AI views the player's strength. It seems, though, that once you start to be aggressive and expand, the other AI factions are more reluctant to ally with you or ceasefire with you. So there seems to be some kind of built-in animus towards a successful player. Early in the game, if you're not doing anything, you're just sitting and building quietly, the AI will often be happy to ally with you and ignore you, if you are allied with them. Later in the game, alliances mean less, because as you do better, the AI just sees you as a threat, it seems. Okay, we've got another caravel here. Let's take this guy, drop him there, and now we can get into the Dodecanese Sea. All right, Rhodes is available. Wait a second. It's Turkish? What? It's Turkish. I don't want war with the Turks. This is bizarre, because there's rebels here. They've just evacuated, I think. They were besieging the rebels. Let's give it a turn. Okay. Unrest in Crete. Beautiful. My spy has done his work. And that looks like a decent little rebellion. Alright. Lost a spy in Kiev. Okay, let's check out the rebellion here. Okay, some chivalric sergeants, some archers, and spearmen. That's pretty good. That's encouraging. I think they could kick out the Turks. Prince Osman as well. So this is a prince. Not too many men here, just 113. Yeah, very low. Okay, so this was... I could have bribed the rebels, but then I would have been under siege by the non-existent Turkish force. It would have been very strange. All right, let's leave the emissary there. And where'd my other emissary go? Crete? Did he get killed? All right, let's get another one. The French are only at war with the Swiss. If only they were fighting other people. And it's like their king has got low influence. Some of these guys have very low loyalty. You would think that they would be pretty open to a civil war. Okay, let's check princesses. We've got one here. She's 34. Wow. Surprised she's still available. Let's try this. Throw a princess at the Swiss king. And if, he'll agree to take her, then we may be able to drop our French alliance and do what we need to do. Still unresolved in Rhodes. Very low taxes, 114% loyalty. Only 33 men here. It seems like this should be a rebellion, but there is that border fort that might be helping the Turks. Here, though, gosh, 4 years. This is, again, plenty of time for the Turks to get a relief force over. Alright, yeah, tax is now high, and loyalty is better, so they didn't bring anybody new. Alright, let's go with the shipbuilding and all of that stuff. Okay, this will allow us to make cogs. I guess let's go for cogs, why not? Violante. Is she the one we were trying to get down? I guess not. But why did she not complete her mission? I was under the impression that a princess who was offering marriage kind of like had to complete her mission. So it's weird. Like you could keep her alive by setting her up with a marriage mission. Well, we've got a few years, and we'll have another one anyway. But that's weird. I thought that she's 34. I knew that she wasn't going to be around much longer. But once you queue up a marriage offer, she's going to finish that. My understanding, anyway. 2 years for that. We've got an emissary by now. Let's bring him over to Rhodes. Let's check that spy. Yep, he's got 1 star for that rebellion. Okay, they're bringing a big army into Rhodes, and the Italians reappear. Okay, reappear on Crete. Great job, guys. All right, we've got a son. Our king has a son. That's good. He'll come of age right about at the right time. Well, is this my spy? My spy just got 2 stars for that. Wow, I didn't know it worked like that. We just saw that he had 1. Very interesting. I wonder if he got credit for causing a rebellion, and then in that same turn, the rebellion like rolled the dice and was determined to be a loyalist reemergence, and he gets credit for that separately. I don't know, but that's pretty neat. Anyway, he's 3 stars now, but he's not much good to us in Crete. That's because this is going to be Italian, or the Turks will just take it. So we need to move him someplace else. Kiev now has border forts. Khazar has border forts. We're losing options here, and so what we're going to have to do, I think, is attack Russia. So we're going to go for the Crimea. Now, there's no Russian fleets anywhere, as far as I can tell. So we should have a clear and open path. Let's try again with the Almohads. And let's get an army together. We want to have a good, loyal leadership. I want to check my king's age. He's 41, so he's not going to die of old age anytime soon. This guy's great. Natural leader, blackmailer, famously brave. So that's, altogether, that's +3 morale to all troops under him, and he's a 6-star general. He doesn't even have any lordships. So we could just keep him untitled for the moment. I don't think we need great generals over here. I mean, we've got this guy who's also very good. So, I mean, and we could land him anywhere. We could send him to Crimea by himself. All right, since we're at the moment allied with the French, we could also, invite them to attack us by stripping the garrison of Aquitaine. I know that would kind of hurt us in the short term if they do take it in terms of points. But, like, why not grab a bunch of these guys? It's you and you. Let's grab the Jeannettes and you. And that's everything that's really good. I don't know that I want the pikemen over in Russia. I'll leave the 2-star. Get some chivalric knights. That might be good. More Jeannettes as well. Alright, and... who's left? Just this guy. Right, Aquitaine can't train too much, but we can at least, kind of combine. Okay, we'll do 1 more of you then. Can do chivalric. Not much. Alright, then we'll just leave it there. Aquitaine's basically a trade province anyway. Let's throw some money at it. Toulouse, we were working towards chivalric knights, right? Like, theoretically. We're never going to get there. So looking at this, this is a half stack. We get some good cav, some okay infantry. And we can take, yeah, let's take both of you guys. And we'll send you over as well. I think we can withstand that. And we can send men from Toulouse also. But I am a little worried about the Swiss. I think I'll keep all of them there. I mean, this could be a crusade as well. But let's consider that for later. Yep, we're gonna hit the Russians. Now, what they have here, the Russians tend to be like a cav and skirmish faction. They don't have a lot of great infantry, it seems. They tend to have like halberdiers and stuff. But as you can see, yeah, it's like armored spearmen. They don't have any great like swordsmen, if I remember correctly. So it's like their bodyguard unit is these boyars, which is horse archers, but also sword as sort of a melee weapon, and they're good. They've got good armor, so they're actually a good switch hitter type of unit, kind of like these guys. And they're annoying to deal with. So what you want to bring to a Russian fight is archers, and that's something I don't have here. So let's go ahead and get the mercenary archers. Maybe I'll bring you as well. Okay. That's like 4 units of good archers. I think that'll be okay. And then we've got like 2 or 3 slots open for more units. Alright, let's get our crusade cooking. And in Castile, again, this is a port, so we can, you know, build kind of whatever. Was Valencia? No, Aragon was where we had chivalric knights. So let's train up, you know, like 1 or 2 of them. I don't think we had an awesome, like, place to train archers. I guess Portugal. Let's just switch back between arbalesters and Pavese crossbowmen. So it seems like these guys are very good versus armor, whereas the crossbowmen are good versus armor. But they've got this big Pavese, right? So I think a mix of these units, yeah, I honestly don't know which is better. The arbalesters do hit harder. I should have looked at the diplomacy first, because... Let's see. Alright, Almohads don't want peace. We've got another son on the way. The Pope is sticking with us. That's good. And Hungary is not. I don't really care about that. We don't border the Hungarians anywhere. The Turks are not allied with us. Alright, well, you know, if you're going to be that way... Let's see where things stand now. So this took 2 points away from the Russians. So 2 full bars, that's 16. 3 full bars and 2 pips left over. So 26 points they're going to get if nothing changes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to do like one more. If I'm doing this right, if I'm thinking this is going to work the way I think. See, we've only got 2 points to be counted. We might need to conquer more than I expect. Let's just sit here for now. And yeah, normal taxes is fine. But we may be a little isolated if the Turks want to go to war with us. So let's do some more ships kind of everywhere that we can. At least everywhere that we can make good ships. Yeah, but not here though. I might need troops. So let's get on the troop train. Okay, this is another place we can train archer types in Algeria, and Tunisia does have a port. All right, let's go for the gold mine. Then we'll go for that. I only wish it was the French who would drop their alliance, because the French can't hurt me as much as the Turks can. Okay, turn tables on an attacker in Rhodes. That's probably Turkish. Alright, one more year. So that's really like 2 turns before this falls. Unless we do something about it. We can bring in a couple of archers. So let's do that. Let's do that while we've got the supply lines open, you know, before the Turks decide to cause trouble. And loyalty is good. Alright, let's bring both of you also. I should have more spears, so that's, you know, kind of why we're training them. Let's just do a mix there. And we're probably going to have, like, too many archers. But that's alright. So we'll at least get Crimea. And then, you know, see what they do. I was kind of expecting a counterattack here. Let's see. Can we check? Okay. If we drive them into a civil war, that would really be nice. So we don't need to really conquer and hold all this territory. We can just move a big threatening army through their lands and cause lots of trouble. And then when a civil war happens, we can just back off and, you know, hold Crimea, and then they will lose those points. So we're going to get some more troops over there. Let's check for mercenaries. I think there were some places we saw them. Maybe not, though. Okay, we've got some good guys, actually. Let's, yeah, let's get all of that, except for the spearmen. Alright, emissary killed in Rhodes. Okay, we've got a relief force, and we outnumber them pretty well. This is an interesting opportunity, though. We're going to be fighting a demi-culverin crew, which I almost never see. This is a big sort of modern-style cannon. They've got you know, a decent amount of horse archers, then some skirmish types, and, again, not a lot of infantry. So for us, we've got our trebuchet here, which I guess we... You know, actually, I don't think I want it. We'll put it in the back, so we just won't ever see it. And otherwise, I think that's fine. We've got 1, 2, 3 archers. Actually, let's move up our Pavese guys. We'll use the longbowmen because they're fast to shoot, and the Pavese crossbows for the defense. And yeah, that should be good, I guess. We'll see how this army works against the skirmishing heavy army of the Russians. We'll have to set up pretty far back to avoid that cannon, because they're going to have great range initially. And we may not be able to set up out of their range, depending on what the terrain is like. But we saw that the Russians had relatively low loyalty among their generals. Their king, or the Grand Prince, or whatever they call him, is, I think, only at 4 influence. This is not going to hurt his influence anymore. I mean, the fact that we've already taken the province has already done that damage. But sometimes losing a battle will hurt the loyalty of the, the individual commander. All right, let's actually... I think this is a decent formation. We're going to actually do, though... Yeah, get the archers in the front. I don't like these blocky formations, but let's just go with that for now. Junet's over on the right. And the left. Okay. Now, I imagine they're going to want to try to come at us through the trees. But that's alright. We'll just deal with that. Okay, they are coming straight on. They've got a lot of gunpowder units. This is interesting. Now, I don't expect them to charge us with their cav, because, again, these are missile troops. Like, eventually they probably will. But yeah, they're sending the infantry out. And they're skirmishing with their cavalry. Okay, they are sending the boyars. Great. Chivalric Knights should do pretty well against them. And we've got a couple units of Jeannettes here for when I feel like the time is right. Which is not quite yet. Yeah, they're backing off. But we'll get at least fought in with the halberdiers. Generals getting into the melee. And we've got another unit of Chivalric Knights just waiting. Alright, let's get these Chivalrics out of the way. We're just fighting armored spearmen with them at the moment. Longbowmen can halt so they can fire. Alright, now let's see if we can get the boyars actually. I kind of wouldn't mind fighting them in the trees. And the thing is, they're a skirmish unit, so even if they don't want to fight, they'll retreat, and that's going to hurt the morale of their other troops. Now, we could get into some trouble if they all gang up on us, right? But we caught him here. Let's see what they do. They're losing badly. Great, we're winning on the left, starting to win in the center. And they don't really want to engage. Okay, they're sending in the step-heavy cav. Okay, I think it's time to move forward. Let's get these Jeannettes in the back. We'll just send them racing for the cruise of the siege equipment. Right, he's sending arbalesters to fight melee. General's down to 8 men. Right, we'll send our general in. Hit these boyars. Yeah. Here come the guns. 12 Demi-Culverin crew. Let's see if they can reload fast enough. Oh, they did take out a horse. No, that's the last thing you're ever going to do. Trebuchet is destroyed. We can't destroy the gun, but actually I guess we did. You see it's sort of like off its wheelbase there. Awesome. So those crew are gone. And now we can go up and make sure these boyars don't get away. It's all over, guys. These arquebus units, I don't know that they ever got a shot off. It's very sad, because they're, you know, a unit I basically never use. They're late era only. I guess they're better than handgunners in a sense. But I almost never use handgunners either, so it's really hard for me to tell whether arquebusiers are going to be effective. You know, I think they can. But in this scenario, I had, you know, the range on them with my longbowmen and with my crossbows and so on. Okay, and this is annoying right here. Because, yeah. The battle's basically over, but now we gotta clean up. What are you guys? They do have some reinforcements, I guess. So let's actually send our chivalrics over in this direction. There we go. Alright, no ransom. If that reset the siege slightly. Okay, so now we've got the Prince, Grand Prince of the Russians. Huh. He's right down here. Yeah, loyalty's not looking good anymore. Except for this guy. Prince Yuri's pretty happy with things. And the Duke of Khazar. Without his title, though, he would be down to 4 loyalty. Alright, we're still at peace with the Turks, at least for now. So let's take the opportunity to send over some more troops. Oh, great. A 4-star chivalric sergeant. A general with an actual trait. Alright, we're going to get chivalric men-at-arms over here. I think that's fine. Okay, we'll bring you and Portugal. I guess that's it. Obviously, we need to start getting our own guys here. Let's bring a spy up, though. We'll do the 3 stars. Oh, we can't. He's trapped on Crete because they destroyed the port. All right, so we'll get another no-star spy, and we can't get him here because there's no port in Crimea anymore. All right, all right. We can land troops, but not agents. So, a big second attack, maybe, from the Russians? I guess not. Alright, 1415. We've got 10 years before the points are counted again. 1425, yeah. So, again, the Russians are basically where they were ever since we moved into Crimea. Let's just double-check loyalty of all these generals. It's looking great. All right, about to fall. Great. 1 more year. Now, this is the turn that they might decide to attack. But this looks like the same kind of stuff, basically, right? They've got some armored spearmen, some halberdiers, a lot of ranged cav. So if they send everything they have at us now, I think we could take it, even though they would outnumber us. It just doesn't look that threatening, and we've got a really good general. But let's bring in more troops. And I think I should have been getting more of you guys. Let's focus on the melee guys. I don't think we need all the ranged stuff at the moment. But let's focus on melee. Maybe that's it. Okay, more mercenaries. Oh, more longbowmen. I'll take that. I don't think the pikes are super helpful, but we'll take another trebuchet. And now we've got a little more punch. The Turks are going into it. Awesome. I do love to see a strong Turk empire in the late period, because it doesn't always happen. All right. Oh, beautiful. This is a river battle. It's a river battle in our favor. Oh, this is so great. So I think we've got pretty much the perfect setup. We don't have crossbowmen here, but that's okay. We can set up our trebuchets just to cause problem on the other side of the river, far enough away to be out of their range. We've got longbows to shoot over the heads of these melee guys who can hold the bridge. We've got enough calves, so if there's a breakthrough, we'll be okay. Maybe the Jeannettes I don't need, but you know what? We're going to get reinforcements from these, Arbalester types. I think we're just going to go with this. Ah, this should be fun. I didn't even think to check about the rivers in the area because the last fight, I guess the last fight might have come from Khazar. Okay, so first off, we want to move the trebuchets back. We definitely don't want them, or the, what are they, mangonels? Okay. We'll move them back like here. I kind of don't want them aiming over the heads of our own troops, if I can avoid that. Oh, we've got 2 bridges. Well, this is very interesting. All right, we'll get you... I don't know where they're going to be. I imagine like this is the main bridge. But in case it's not, why don't we just put a mangonel like back here, aimed over there. Both of these on fire at will. And let's just double check the arc of this one. Yeah, so pretty much anything setting up and getting ready to cross the bridge is going to come under fire by both of these. Okay, so I'm going to mostly defend this bridge. And our general is going to have to be somewhere kind of in the middle of this. Alright, so these are my 2 4-star chivalric sergeants. To have them hold position. Men-at-arms can be behind them. Let's get a couple of 3 Valor chivalric sergeants. We'll place them later. But I'm going to group them so that I know that that's my other company. Again, anticipating that this is going to be the main attack, we'll put the longbows here. Hold position, hold formation. Okay, it's not showing that we can attack over there, but I guess that's just because it's outside of the range. Let's put a swordsman over here too. Alright, Jeanettes are going to kind of just rush back and forth. I don't know what role they're going to play just yet, but we'll have them engage at will. And the Chivalric Knights, you know, we could do this, Chivalric Foot Knights, which I'm kind of tempted. This gives us some armor penetration. On the other hand, we've kind of got that with the other units. And so it might be nice to have some fast and, you know, good, hard-hitting melee infantry. So I think we want another chivalric sergeant here, and we'll keep the Italian infantry here to kind of run maybe back and forth between. Okay, they're probably going to attack down this main bridge. But let's get our reinforcement flag to be right on the road. Alright, hit the boyars. We got one of them. If it looks like they ignore this bridge, then we'll just get rid of that mangonel there. But the nice thing about having longbowmen as your first 16 is that they do fire a lot faster than the crossbows, and that means you're going to get through them pretty quickly. So we can cycle them out and replace them with those other crossbowmen who will last like the rest of the battle probably, because they are so slow to fire. Alright, now I thought I had you guys on like hold formation and hold position. You're moving around an awful lot. Well, we've got backups anyway. I think we're doing okay. Here's the king. Not a lot of these guys are firing, actually, now that I look at it. I don't know what they're aiming at. Okay, these guys are actually doing very well. So their formation looks bad, but they're doing well, I guess. Let's bring some of you down for support. Alright, let's send the Italian infantry in. We'll hit these boyars. And hit the militia sergeants with our men-at-arms. I think I want to change how you guys are formed up. This is not working. I think it's an issue of not being able to see very well. Alright, let's aim at those boyars in the back. We'll have plenty of time to hit them. And I think I will retire this Mangonel crew. And let's bring some chivalric men-at-arms back over here. Alright, this sounds better. Let's see. Yes, they're all firing. There we go. That is what I was wanting to see. Alright, let's target the prince with these longbowmen. Because I think he's far enough back, we're not going to get too many friendly casualties. Alright, and now you can see how fast they deplete their ammunition when they're all actually firing. When they run out, they get, I think, axes as melee weapons, which is very cool. But we're not going to keep them around for that, because they're just so valuable as a missile troop. Okay, out of ammo, so you can withdraw. The Italian infantry are kind of taking a beating over here. All right, and you're done too, so withdraw. So our first reinforcements, what are they? Ah, yeah, arbalesters. We might also want to get rid of this mangonel at this point. The targets we were getting the opportunity to hit, you know, the greatest likelihood of getting good targets for a mangonel is like early in the battle, for a bridge battle. And we took out like 3, you know, 2 or 3 guys. Maybe we took out a couple on the bridge, but they're not a real fast or flexible siege weapon. Alright, I want to pull back the chivalric men-at-arms. I don't think they're doing very much. These chivalric sergeants can stay put. And these guys, again, they are on hold formation, hold position. I gave them no attack orders, but look at them. They started over here, and they're way up here on the bridge. So I don't know how that all works. Maybe I should... I'm just not sure. I thought they would stay where they were. Alright, let's look at the kind of troops they have currently. Steppe heavy cav. Some Slav javelin men. More boyars. Some militia sergeants. Boyars, Bulgarian brigands. Some urban militia. And then Pavies, crossbows. We got some halberdiers coming. So I think we'll do the wrap around with a couple of cav units. Once the halberdiers get here, they're a low morale unit. I can send the Jeannettes to kill the catapult crew, and then the chivalric knights just to hit this formation in the back of the bridge. Like, once the halberdiers are trying to muscle their way through. Okay, arbalesters. Let's get them over here. I know that, like, the shields are on this side. I think that matters. What else we got coming? There's something else coming through the trees. Urban militia. Okay, that's no big deal. I'll just ignore them. And we're pushing it back, as you can tell. All right, perfect timing for me to start hitting the halbs with my arbalesters. The halberdiers are already in the thick of it. And they are a good unit. But they're going to be pretty tired. Urban Militia want to be a hero here, so we'll charge him with our 3 Valor, armored, and weapon upgraded Chivalric Knights. That took out 20 men, unlike the charge. Very good. Catapults destroyed as well. Let's hit these boyars. They're a great target for us. And if we get them to run, that's an elite unit, which is just really hurt. Okay, that actually did it. Step Heavy Cav will hit them next. Javelins have turned to throw at my Chivalric Knights. May take 1 or 2 of us out. Alright. We're just killing these guys, but it's not having much of an effect on the morale. So this guy might have some nice traits. I don't see any other reinforcements coming yet. We've eliminated like 2 units. So I would expect if they have reinforcements that they would be showing up. Alright, I was hoping this would break them faster. This is kind of a grind that I don't want my Chivalric Knights to be just standing there and taking it, but I'll halt you. I think I gave these guys orders to shoot at the Halberdiers. They're down to 37 men. So now that it's getting a bit grindy in here, I want them to pick their targets more carefully, so we'll let them fire at will. Someone's routing in here. And we've got 3 reinforcements we can bring on, so more ranged guys and some cav too. Yep, this is going great. Three boyars.
The enemy king flees. Grace and a spavined nag.
Spavined nag. That must mean something. Alright, 40 horse archers are coming, 20 step cavalry, 60, was that militia, urban militia? We're just here to make sure nobody gets away, and then we'll pull back to the bridge. There are quite a few of them, some more spearmen. Still got a lot of Chivalric Knights, but they're very tired now. So, yeah, that's the thing. You've got, like, you know, one good maneuver you can make with your Knights before they're kind of wiped out. So we'll bring them back. Let's bring the Jeannettes over here. They've got better, you know, fatigue or lack of fatigue. Arbalests, let's bring them here. Pavis, Arbalest. There. And 35 Chivalric Knights, or, 63 these guys. I was trying to draw their attention to this. So these guys are up to 5 Valor, 63 Chivalric Sergeants. And then we get 49. I'm going to leave the Italian infantry in. They're mercenary troops, right? So it seems appropriate. But maybe I'll withdraw these guys, because we've got 87 Chivalric Sergeants. We could probably just hold this bridge. Alright, are they going to come over this way? There's some more boyars here, and they've got some more long-ranged infantry. And arquebusiers. So let's see if they get a shot. No, they're just gonna maybe just attack. Nope, maybe just rout. And then 100 armored spearmen coming as well. So we'll play it a little defensively here, and we'll see how much more they've got. They've got peasants here. This is going to be a pretty big rout. I want to make sure that all of these tough guys rout as well. So I don't want to commit everything just yet. Why do we have 9 chivalric sergeants? Are these the guys I told to withdraw? I think they must be. That's very weird. I don't know why they're going this way. Okay, so once again, I want to wait for these armored spearmen to get into the bridge, and then we'll send the other guys over. Those are lighter cav. I'm not going to send my chivalric knights again. I'm going to wait, because we might use them to break through this if it looks really stubborn. I'm just going to rout you guys. You're not listening. I know that's a little risky because it can affect the morale of your other troops. Here come the armored spears. They did get a volley off. Alright, that should be it for the peasants. We'll bring you guys back now. We'll help rout the arbalesters. Okay, great, they can be on that. And now we'll hit the Bulgarian brigands. And horse archers here. Yeah, this is going to be a nice mess. going to be deadlier to my Jeanettes than I was hoping, but now we got a little rout. These Bulgarian brigands are... Okay, they just routed. Urban militias routed. Great. Horse archers routing too. Okay, I think this is it for this mess. And what do we have coming? Horse archers. I think those spearmen are withdrawing, actually. Alright. Yeah, I figured they were going to melee, so... There they go. What do we got? Step Cav. Some malicious sergeants. Now they might be a little more coy. So let's get everybody back again. Oh, are you going to fight? Are you going to fight? The Jeanettes are exhausted. But we can throw javelins. They're not going to retreat from that. It's kind of a waste of these javelins because they're more of an armor-piercing thing, but it might be enough to rout them. I don't know. We're missing all over the place. Step Cav, horse archers, peasants. Well, whatever. We'll just stay there. I'll bring up these guys too. The armored spearmen may come back. Peasants, other spearmen may come back. I think at this point I'm kind of tempted just to wrap it up with my light cav if I can do that. And maybe even just ignore their light cav and just, you know, kill their infantry. This is a melee cav unit. You gonna fight now? They're routing. Okay, spears, peasants, Pavi's crossbows. Alright, that would be nice to get. Let's bring the other Jeanettes up. Step Cav. This might be trouble, but yeah, notice how we're routing all of those guys. Kind of tempted just to keep on that. Maybe we'll lose the mounted crossbows. But bring up the Spanish Jeanettes. We'll hit the Step Cav. Alright, that's 40 Step Cav with 1 Valor, I want to say, versus 36 5 Valor Spanish Jeanettes. And these guys are... quite tired, but they're not as bad. So let's get into melee with them. Let's turn around, get into melee with them. Very nice. Alright, everybody just get on these horse archers. There we go. Alright, so that was a long one. But we've got 433 captives. We've killed the faction leader. And ransom refused. Alright, about to fall. So I don't think we're going to get hit again. I think we just hit end season, and we're going to end up with this, or end the year. Let's try once more. It's probably not going to work. But peace with the Almohads allows us to attack the French by getting us an alliance potentially with the Swiss. But that may be irrelevant soon. I mean, the French may wipe out the Swiss. All right, Crimea has fallen. Now it's just a fort, but we pillaged a decent amount. And no ceasefire with the Almohads. Some nice trades here. Okay, so Crimea is ours. Let's get the taxes up to very high. Let's first get a port, then a watchtower. Or reverse that, watchtower, then port. There's really not that much good stuff here. I mean, obviously the trade is really good. Maybe this is a post-Marco Polo event or post-Silk Road event, because I don't recall spices being available here earlier. But in any case, that's a great little capture. So we'll be sending those back all throughout the Mediterranean as soon as we get our port and our trading post. But I think watchtowers might be nice because we might be leaving this relatively soon. You know, we might want to do a little bit more damage to the Russians. I think they're probably hanging out in Moscow. That's probably where their Grand Prince is hanging out. So we might consider a campaign to, you know, kind of push them back and drive them into a civil war. Let's take a quick look at the loyalty again. All right, it's actually looking better. So maybe they've got a better faction leader at this point. So in the next episode, I think that's going to be the approach. We maybe spend a couple of years just taking a look at what they have, or maybe we just go for it and try to, get the Russians to collapse. But we do have, let's see, 8 turns before points are counted. So we've got a bit of time to work with. And I think we've got plenty of troops here to do probably everything we need. We capture some of these provinces, do a little bit of training before moving on. And like, again, I don't really want to conquer any of this. I'd be happy just holding this as our outpost, and then we hurt the Russians by causing rebellions and civil wars through our military dominance. So I guess that's going to be the end game here. It always comes down to this. So I'm a little disappointed that it is that way yet again. But what can you do? We've got to take the fight into the east. So that's where we're going to be in the next episode. Hope you join me for that. And until then, take care.